Okay.
It's spring break. School's annual undead themed musical told Harker to forgive Lindsey down with Florence
Okay. So I know there's a lot going on in this story right now. It's spring break. The school's annual undead-themed musical is going on in less than 36 hours and no one is ready. Michi's boyfriend broke up with her and she blames Lindsey, who also happens to have landed the lead role in the play, which Michi thought was hers. So, Michi's like super jealous of Lindsey. Lindsey told Harker to forgive Lincoln for the stunt he pulled in middle school, and so Paul took Harker to Lincoln's house and they had a talk. Harker said it was good. Florence was LARPing with her guild of Amazons who kidnapped Billy, who was deactivating his alien traps now that he doesn't believe in aliens anymore, and then Florence's second-in-command Zafira made Billy her mate and stole Florence's silver bow. But then Logan Lawrence, also known as Exterminatus, bribed a wizard named Grandal Door to put a mind control spell over all of Florence's Amazons, but Florence got away because of her magical bracelets. And Billy got away too because he's not a LARPer, so mind control spells mean nothing to him. And now Florence and Billy have bonded by sharing their sob stories and stuff, and are hatching some crazy plan to foil Exterminatus and Grandal Door. And Mr. Smith is on a date with the art teacher. Yeah, it's complicated. But that's the truth for you. Complicated. If you want some simple-down, streamlined, make-believe garbage, you can watch that backup copy movie and believe a convenient lie. But if you want the truth of what happened at Paradise High, what really happened at Paradise High, you'll keep listening. And I know it's the truth because I was there. East Hollywood High School presents Paradise High, Episode 18, A Tiny Piece of Paradise. Let's start with Michi. You'll remember that she locked herself in the costume closet and everyone's in an uproar. That's Miss Kelly, the theater teacher.
Michi! Whether or not I care about you is completely besides the point right now. We need you to open the door so we can get to those costumes!
Lindsey steps forward.
Miss Kelly, let me handle this.
Lindsey walks to the door. She gets close to it and talks to Michi.
Michi, this is Lindsey. You and I both know that this is about you and me, so let me in, and it's time we settled this.
The door unlocks. Miss Kelly and the other students start to move, but Lindsey motions for them to stop.
Give us a moment.
Lindsey slips into the closet. Miss Kelly looks at her watch.
She better be quick.
In the closet, Lindsey locks the door behind her. The room is stuffed with zombie and vampire costumes hanging from racks. Michi sits on the floor, her makeup destroyed by tears. She frantically tries to clean up her face.
What do you want?
Michi, I'm sorry things happen this way.
Just don't pretend to care.
That's too much for Lindsey.
I didn't do anything to you.
You took my boyfriend. Don't even say you didn't do anything to me.
I just tried out for the play and your boyfriend hit on me. How is that my fault?
I hate you so much.
Michi pulls out her phone and starts looking at pictures of her and her friends having fun together.
Everything was great before you came. People liked me.
No one liked you.
Michi looks at her pictures some more. Most of them are her selfies, with her friends carrying her stuff in the background.
They were just afraid of you.
Lindsey takes a deep breath. She sits down against the wall next to Michi and looks over at her.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Michi cries some more and keeps flipping through photos.
I'm sorry the tipster posted that video. I know how it feels.
Michi flips to a photo of herself with two adults. Lindsey sees the photo.
Are those your parents?
Foster parents.
Michi swipes through the pictures on her phone. In each one, she's with a different family.
You know, usually more is better, but not with parents. The more you have, the less they love you.
Michi looks up at Lindsey.
That video the tipster posted, people laugh, but it was everything to me. When I was on set for that commercial, I knew I was the bad example, but I didn't care. The cameras, the lights, the everything. I knew that no matter how many fake homes I had, I'd find my real one in Hollywood, the only real home I'd ever have.
Michi, I didn't...
We really do need in, girls.
Lindsey leans over and puts her hand on Michi's.
We should go.
Michi nods. Lindsey escorts her to the door and opens it. Miss Kelly and the students flood in, grabbing their costumes.
All right, people, no time to waste. Let's get back at it.
Back in the auditorium, Lindsey leads Michi to where Jessie sits. Lindsey helps Michi sit down next to Jessie.
Jessie, I gotta get on stage. Will you look after her?
No problem, Lindsey.
Lindsey walks away. Jessie sits awkwardly for a moment. Michi tries to stop crying.
Do you need a tissue or something?
Okay, now let's check in on the LARPers. Logan, Grandal Door, and a few of Logan's LARPers sit around a campfire.
My men haven't returned. How is she doing this? She's just one person.
Not to worry. We have plenty more where that came from.
The mind-controlled Amazon LARPers all sit nearby.
Hey, exterminatus.
Logan and company stand up quickly. They see Billy standing confidently at the edge of their camp, facing them. Grandal Door waves his staff.
Alkanzi Zarzum Alfonzi!
Billy crosses his arms in front of him, pulling his sleeves back and revealing Florence's spell-breaking bands on his wrists.
Not so fast.
What? Where did you get those?
Look, as I think you can tell by my jewelry, I have what you want, and I'm very happy to turn my prisoner Bermusa over to you, if you make it worth it to me.
One of Logan's LARPers, a cautious one, speaks up.
Don't listen to him. It's a trap.
Silence! Alright, you've got my attention. What do you want?
You know, what everyone wants. 2500 GP, Cloak of Invisibility, an Obsidian Talisman, and her.
Billy points to Zafira. She grimaces and looks nervous.
That's a pretty high price.
Well, I could have asked for a Cosmic Dragon.
Logan and Grandal Door share a nervous look.
But if you're not interested, I'll just...
2,000.
2200.
2150.
Fine. Whatever. But we make the exchange tomorrow at noon in the field just below the Amazonians' camp. You bring yourself, the goods, and 2 of your men.
And if I bring all of my men?
Billy holds up his wristbands.
I did something your men, Anna and Istari, couldn't do. You don't want to mess with me. If you fall short on any of my terms, no deal. And that'll be the least of your worries.
Billy turns and walks away.
Why the girl?
Zafira looks up.
Payback.
Zafira becomes very afraid. That's Miss Martin, dashing away from the restaurant where she and Smith ordered a dinner they never ate or paid for. Mr. Smith follows after her.
Where are we going?
Come on, Slowpoke, hurry!
Later, Mr. Smith and Miss Martin stand in a large central area in the mall.
Okay, I'm gonna count to 10. You go hide.
Miss Martin goes to cover her eyes.
In the mall?
Yes, and you better go fast because I'm really good at this.
But it's the mall.
And if I'm really stumped, I can text you any yes or no question, and you have to answer truthfully. All right, I'm counting now.
But it...
1, 2,
Mr. Smith
3,
panics.
4,
He looks around.
5, 6,
Mr. Smith runs off.
8, 9, 10.
Lindsey and other performers in costume have just finished rehearsing one of the big numbers.
All right, everyone. Everyone gather round for notes. All right. Vampire number 3, you need to pick it up on that last shimmy. You're behind everyone else. And vampire number 5, excellent job on the second spin. That's just what we want.
Lindsey looks over. Michi sits dejected next to Jesse. Jesse doesn't know what to do with himself. Lindsey turns back to Miss Kelly.
And so, we're going to speed up the entire tempo this time, and if we get all of this right, we'll move on. Places, everyone!
Lindsey goes to her place. The other performers do likewise behind her. Harker and Paul enter. Harker watches Lindsey on stage. Lindsey begins the first steps of her dance. She looks over and sees Michi crying. A moment of decision. Lindsey takes the step, then the second, then the spin, and Lindsey intentionally lands hard on one foot and falls to the floor. The music stops. Miss Kelly rushes to Lindsey.
Oh, my star!
Other performers help Lindsey up. Lindsey puts her weight on her leg.
Ah!
Harker watches Lindsey. He smirks. He sees right through Lindsey's charade, but Miss Kelly doesn't.
She needs to sit. Someone, get her an ice pack.
They help Lindsey sit down.
I think it's sprung. Or maybe broken.
A student brings her an ice pack and helps her put it on her ankle.
Where does it hurt?
In the ankle, and here, and everywhere. I can't go on tomorrow.
Michi looks up.
What? But the show must go on!
Lindsey looks Michi right in the eyes.
Michi will have to take my place.
Michi's eyes widen. She stands slowly. Miss Kelly turns to look at Michi. Harker watches the proceedings with an all-knowing smile.
Do you know the lines?
All of them.
Well then, Harker?
Harker steps forward.
Can you fit the Bloody Mary costumes to Michi?
I'll get right on it. Let's go, Drama Queen.
Scott, are you okay with...
Scott pukes in the corner. Must have been that liquid mortem he drank. Works every time.
Oh no!
Miss Kelly looks as if she's about to cry.
Is this production cursed?
What about Scott's understudy?
Everyone turns to the understudy. He is a deer in headlights.
What? You expected me to memorize the lines?
Miss Kelly's eyes go wide.
Jesse knows the lines.
Everyone looks at Jesse. He doesn't like the attention.
He's been running the lines with me. He knows everyone's lines. Right, Jesse?
Yeah, I do.
Miss Kelly takes a moment to process all that's happening, then regains her composure.
The show must go on! Jesse, you're Zombie Jeff, Michi's Bloody Mary, and we're on in 19 hours. So let's get to work, people! Let's make this the best damn play the mayor's ever seen!
Back at the mall, Miss Martin looks carefully around a clothing store. She stops and sends a text.
Can you see me?
She gets a return text.
Yes.
Miss Martin turns around. she sees a rack of long coats with 2 shoes poking out beneath. She walks up to it and pulls the coats back.
Found you!
Mr. Smith's shoes lay empty on the floor. She looks up and to the right. Mr. Smith stands camouflaged among a clearance rack stacked with ugly sweaters. Miss Martin smiles. One stop at the ice cream shop later, Mr. Smith and Miss Martin walk through the mall eating soft serve. Mr. Smith spills ice cream on his sweater. Miss Martin uses her napkin to try to wipe it off as they walk.
Why don't we get you a new sweater? I mean, it's good camouflage and all, but we could try something from this decade.
Mr. Smith stops walking.
But I like this sweater. Don't you?
I mean, I like vintage, but really?
My grandmother made it. It means a lot to me.
Miss Martin smiles.
Mr. Smith, there's a lot more to you than people know. You're actually quite likable.
Thank you. I think.
They continue their stroll through the mall on the most unlikely successful first date one could imagine. Back to LARPing. Logan, Grandal Door, Zafira, and one of Logan's warriors, a nice chap named Dave, walk through the field below the Amazons' camp. Zafira carries a large chest. Logan carries the silver bow of Alderius in his hand. They stop.
Come on out. We have what you wanted.
Logan motions to Zafira. Grandal Door waves his staff. Zafira steps forward and places the chest on the ground. She opens it. It is full of tokens painted gold, a black cape, and a white pouch. Billy steps out from his hiding place. He wears 2 swords, one on each hip. One of them is Florence's. He leads Florence by a leash. Her hands are tied. Billy leads Florence to Logan's group.
Give us Bermuda, then you can take your payment.
I'm not stupid. You want her more than I need that stuff. You first.
Logan and Grandal Door share a glance.
Alright, fine, at the same time.
Billy nods. He steps forward. Suddenly, Grandal Door begins casting his mind control spell.
Endure, welcome!
Florence pulls her hands apart, breaking the fake cords. She draws her sword from Billy's hip as she simultaneously pulls the rope off her neck. She moves right to the center of the group of enemies. Her sword glows and she spins, emitting an arch strike that pushes all her opponents back. Billy jumps at Logan. He pulls the silver bow from his hands.
Florence!
Billy throws the silver bow to its rightful owner. She catches it. Grandal Door has recovered from the arch strike. He begins casting his mind control spell again.
Endure, welcome!
Florence pulls an arrow from her armor and lets it fly. The arrow hits Grandal Door's staff. It shatters. Or, at least Florence thinks it shattered. Grandal Door has another idea.
Only God-class weapons could break other God-class weapons.
Florence raises her bow.
This is a gift from Ares himself.
Doesn't count.
Florence raises an eyebrow.
Would you like to seek a rule clarification from the Immortal Council? I'm sure they'd have a lot to say about this scenario.
No, it's all good.
Thought so.
Grandal Door looks down at the broken pieces of his staff and then draws his sword. Zafira pulls out her dual blades, turns, and spars with Dave. Logan charges Florence. He comes down at her with his weapon. She parries with the silver bow. Billy draws his remaining sword and runs at Grandal Door. Zafira hits Dave twice. 12. He kicks her, pushing her back, then runs at her with his large double-handed war hammer. Logan and Florence spar, the latter parrying with the silver bow and striking with her sword. But Logan evades most of her hits. Billy hits Grandal Door. 5. Grandal Door hits Billy. 4. Billy gives Grandal Door a dumbfounded look.
4? Really? I do more damage than you?
I'll show you damage!
Grandal Door charges at Billy. Dave hits Zafira. 15.
Ow!
Dave raises his hammer to attack her again.
That's it.
Zafira strikes a dramatic attack pose with both swords outstretched.
Fury of the West Wind!
Zafira rushes at the fierce larper, swinging her energy-clothed blades rapidly in front of her. Grandal Door lunges at Billy, but misses. Billy hits him 3 times, quickly in the back. 5, 5, 5. Grandal Door drops his sword and Billy steps on it. Florence hits Logan twice with her sword. 11. Logan spins around and hits her hard with his weapon. 20 critical. Push back. Florence steps back a few steps and looks down. There is the arrow she fired at Grandal Door's staff. Zafira's blazing swords make contact with Dave's war hammer, forcing it from his hand. But her attack continues forward, dealing 15 damage 5 times. Dave falls. Logan raises his weapon high and charges at Florence. She aims her bow and fires. The arrow meets its mark. 25! Logan falls dead. Florence stands and turns. Billy stands on Grandal Door's sword and hits him repeatedly.
5 normal, 5 normal, 5 normal, 5 normal. This guy's immortal, right? So when does this end? 5 normal, 5 normal. Ah!
Later, Grandal Door is tied up in duct tape. Logan and the fierce larper lie, quote-unquote, dead beside him.
Does anyone have a phoenix down?
Later still, Florence's many larpers stand around, compliant, guarded by the few of Logan's larpers that remain. Florence, Billy, and Zafira enter the camp. The larpers waiting there turn toward them and begin drawing their weapons. Florence raises Grandal Door's staff.
Grandal Door's staff is broken!
The eyes of Logan's larpers go wide.
Crap.
Florence turns to Zafira.
Now for you.
Zafira goes to her knees and holds out her swords, begging for mercy.
Please, I'm sorry. Have mercy. I know nothing of mercy, for you have committed treason.
Florence takes Zafira's swords and points one of them at her.
It is within my right to slay you.
Billy approaches Florence.
As much as I'd like to see that crazy girl get hers, she did help in that last fight.
Zafira?
Zafira's eyes go wide. Florence throws the swords to the ground at Zafira's feet.
I banish thee. You'd be wise to never let me see thy face again.
Florence walks away. Behind her, 2 female larpers pull Zafira away. Ah! All of Logan's larpers are defeated. The Amazons gather together.
Well, that was fun. Wanna grab a burger on the way home?
Well, we still have 2 more days of this and 3 guilds to defeat, so I'll see you on Monday?
Oh, well...
Billy hesitates, then speaks up.
I don't have anything going on. Would you like some extra help? If you don't mind having a man around, that is.
Florence punches Billy's arm.
Ow. That sounds great.
They exchange a smile.
Pathetic zombie, you're all the same. So weak.
Weak? I am not weak. Justice.
All the same.
Well, all you vampires are the same. You're all just ruthless thugs that won't just leave us alone.
The show is on. It looks like Bloody Mary, A Tale of Lifeless Love. The seats are filled. The mayor sits in the front row next to Mr. Raznotovich. Michi, dressed as a vampire princess, and Jesse, dressed as a hipster zombie, perform on stage.
We have to be ruthless, or you rotting meatbags will exterminate us.
What are you talking about? You're the ones trying to exterminate us.
Be quiet, I'm not gonna fall for your dirty zombie tricks.
Lindsey and Paul run lights together. They watch the play.
Give me some more of those peanuts.
Paul holds his box of peanuts out, so Lindsey has to work to get them. She leans over, putting weight on her foot, and grabs the box from Paul's hand.
Careful with that foot. People will get suspicious.
Whatever, they're all too busy watching the show to notice.
She didn't deserve it.
You're one to talk. Do any of us deserve it? Crap.
Lindsey shifts her phone to silent, but as she does so, she sees a text from the tipster. New post, especially for Double Dutch. Lindsey looks around. She covers her phone. She can't resist reading it.
Drama. Everyone has some, and I mean everyone.
Lindsey looks from her phone up to Michi and Jesse performing, then back at her phone.
This blog was created to expose everyone's dirty secrets.
Lindsey rolls her eyes. Here we go again.
But not all secrets are dirty. Some people do good things that go unnoticed by everyone.
Lindsey strokes her unafflicted ankle.
Today, while drama was unfolding on and off the stage, one person quietly went about, making things better. And to her I say, Double Dutch.
Lindsey raises her eyebrow.
Thank you.
In his bedroom, Harker finishes writing the tip post. He closes his laptop and exits. To be continued. This episode was brought to you by Paradise High School's production of Bloody Mary, A Tale of Lifeless Love, See It Before It Sees You, and by The Tipster. On the next episode of Paradise High.
That is, my dear friends, if there is a next episode of Paradise High. Hello, my name is Cameron Olsen. Up until this point, I have been the primary editor of this podcast, but now I am moving on. The problem is, Josh Wagner, creator of Paradise High, has 9 more podcast episodes written. That is where you come in, dear listeners. If any of you out there would be willing to take on the exciting task of editing the rest of these podcasts, which completely conclude Paradise High by the end, contact Josh Wagner about it at jwagner@ehhs.us. Thanks, and good luck.